solo adventures in your time, including ones that had some issues and some difficulties. Just how frightening and how difficult can it be there out on the water alone when there's a problem with the boat?
When we go out on these adventures, we're planning to go to sea for months and months at a time. So we've got to take and think of all the equipment and materials that we're going to need to be able to combat all the probable scenarios that might take place. But something like a storm taking out your electrical systems, it's a fairly hard thing to combat in the middle of the ocean. And, for Tim, it's just really lucky that he was able to actually survive for 3 months at sea, as he has out there. But yeah, it can be incredibly challenging in those conditions.
Can you imagine what it would be like? Obviously, I think he had provisions with him, but he obviously ate them all. And then he was forced to try and catch fish. And can you talk us through the fear, I suppose, that would sort of set in when you realised you have no means of communication and you can't get out of this and you can't fix the boat?
Yeah, I can only imagine what he was going through, and I've faced my fair share of challenges in the Southern Ocean, and it's never fun to be going through a situation where you might not have all the tools and equipment with you, and the food that he had on board obviously wasn't lasting the distance for how long he perhaps might have been at sea. Given that he wasn't sure if he was going to be rescued as well, so that's one of the biggest things that would have been playing and weighing on his mind the whole time. As he was running out of supplies and running down food and not sure where to push the boat or if he could even fix the boat or repair the boat, he's understanding with full clarity that he's running out of time, and he's just trying to keep himself moving. And you can clearly see with the videos and the footages that have come back from his rescue that he's really struggled and he's lost a huge amount of weight, and you can see sort of the sort of resilience he's had to build just in his eyes when you look at him.
He says that he tried very hard to find moments of happiness, even though he was alone and obviously quite frightened. Can you talk to us a bit about that? Obviously, he's a sailor who loves the sea, as you do. Can you talk to us about that sort of, even though you are in a quite dangerous situation, there is a love there, and even if things are going wrong, is there?
I guess one of the big things for sailors like us, we choose to go out in that environment, and we do that because we have such a passion for the environment that we're sailing in. So there are amazing moments, even amongst moments of terror and joy, that you can create joy out of. And Tim was extremely fortunate to also have his dog Bella, because I'm sure that would have become such a strong connection for him, keeping his mindset strong, not just to save himself, but to also save his dog out there.
He says he got hit by a very bad storm and he was worried about a hurricane that was coming. Just talk to us about what it's like to be out in that kind of environment, so little in such a big ocean and such an aggressive ocean. What is that like when you're just all alone on a boat?
It really puts, being all alone on a boat like that, it just really puts things in perspective when you're this tiny speck in the world's largest ocean. I mean, Tim was picked up in the middle of the North Pacific and literally weeks and weeks from the nearest land and from help, and to be going through a violent storm system and having the threat of an additional storm coming through would have been so scary out there. We plan for these things as well, and I'm sure Tim had all the right planning and procedures in place before he left port, but accidents happen and we can't plan for absolutely every scenario, and to be in a disabled boat in those conditions would have been incredibly scary.
Well, he's coming back to Sydney. Obviously, is the sailing community planning a bit of a welcome for him?
I'm sure we're going to have a whole heap of sailors out there to welcome him back. He's become a remarkable hero of endurance for Australia, and we wish him well with his recovery, and hopefully he can get over this minor mishap and get out sailing again in the near future.
That's great. Anything you'd like to add?
I'm just glad that Tim's been found safe and sound, and that his dog Bella is also safe and sound, and I'm sure he's just enjoying hot showers and hot food on board dry land and a good night's rest, because he doesn't have to stress about how he's going to survive through the next day. So we wish him well with his future, and hopefully I'll get to connect with him shortly.
I might ask, is it very odd when you've been alone for such a long time to be, the poor man's walked off the boat, to be hit with the world's media, everybody wants a picture with him, everybody knows his name, news around the world is talking about him. what's it like getting off a solo voyage like that and being hit with so much humanity?
Yeah, it's incredibly gut-jarring to reach dry land after a voyage like that. And for me personally, I spent 92 days at sea around Antarctica, and when I hit land, it was actually smelling land for the first time that I could, smell it. And then it was all this noise and chaos and catastrophe of just movement around me. And you just come from the middle of the ocean where it's an unending horizon line and just crystal blue waters and the same smells, and then you reach dry land. So I can imagine that it's a very stressful transition for him at the moment.
That's great. I mean, I could talk to you all day, but that'll do me. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. You're a remarkable human being yourself. So
No worries.